Welcome to Huddle Up with Matias Bueno. Sit back and enjoy stories and insight from sports icons from all over.
Are you kidding? This is unbelievable! Touchdown Bombers!
Welcome to Huddle Up with Matias Bueno. Today's guest is defensive back coach for the University of Manitoba Bisons football program, Coach Richard Urbanovich. Coach, it's a great pleasure to have you on. I know that being one of the few coaches in this province that has been with one football program for many decades, it's a great honor to be able to finally sit down and pick your brain about the career that you've had coaching with the U of M, because it's definitely been one that spans longer than most coaches have had in the province.
Well, thank you, Matias. I appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, and I'm kind of flattered that you chose me, and I'm glad to discuss anything you'd like to talk about.
So you've been coaching with the Bisons for many years now. I would guess close to 30 years, if I remember correctly, from the banter in the coach's room. Did you also play for the U of M before your coaching days there?
Actually, I'm going into year 32 coaching. No, I played junior, high school junior. I tried out at that point. When I was trying out for the team, they made cuts. So I unfortunately got cut, but I still played senior ball, and then was playing rugby at the same time, and then just got an opportunity to coach like band football, and then high school with Coach Doby, and then I got an opportunity with the Bisons in 1991.
Coach Doby has been coaching football longer than many of the players on the team have been alive, and same with their parents, and he's one of the great minds in football across the province of Manitoba. And one thing that I've noticed from being able to work with the team and see the chemistry that you guys have in the coach's room is that the relationship that you have with Coach Doby as well as with Coach Pierre is so deeply rooted in the relationships you guys have had before coaching football, during your time with the Bisons, and now off the field. Can you talk a little bit about your relationship with Coach Doby and why it's so quintessential to your role with the Bisons?
Well, I will start off by saying Coach Doby was a teacher at Churchill High School. When he first got his first job there, I believe I was in grade 8 at the time. And then when you're going to Churchill High School, everybody wants, when you're in junior high, everybody wants to play football on the football team. And he came in and changed the culture there quite a bit. And I know that I was not the biggest guy around there, but just being able to to go out, play football, and then learn, and then because you don't forget the first coaches you've ever had that influenced you, or some coaches that influenced you more, and starting off there in high school, and then him giving me a shot to coach there after I played junior was a great opportunity, and then actually, when Scott Spurgeon got hired over Brian in 1991, pardon me, Brian was the one that referred me to Scott to be the DB coach. And I'd say, not only are we coaches together, but we're friends, and we have a long history, as you said. It dates back to, like I said, back to the grade 8, and when he was a teacher there, and just just the way he cares so much about his coaches and his players, and we've developed a really strong bond for over a long period of time, and we can talk about anything, and we can bounce stuff off each other, get emotional with each other, and at the end of the day, love each other and respect each other too.
Looking across U Sports football, I don't know how many other programs, or if there is another one, that has a core of coaches who have been together with the same program for as long as you, Coach Pierre, and Coach Doby. You guys have all been working with the Bisons football coach. Pierre, I think he played for the Bisons before coaching, correct?
That's right. Yes, he did.
And Coach Doby as well played before his time coaching. And
Yep.
it's even like Coach Mitchell too. Like I remember when I interviewed him, I was asking him about what keeps bringing him back, because for someone like yourself, you like Coach Mitchell, it's not your job. Like you're not
Right.
paid and you don't make your livelihood off of coaching football, but you keep doing it, and you've been doing it for 32 years, and I'm sure with more than great pleasure, especially with the great groups of coaches you've been able to work with. What makes you love coaching at the U of M so much, and how come you've done it for all these many years without it really being something that provides for your living?
Well, I will say it first starts. It does start in that coach's room. It's a family. Coach Doby and Coach Pierre, we've been working together for a long, long time. And off the field and on the field as friends. And loyalty is huge with me, and I'm loyal to the program. I'm loyal to both those guys, especially because we share a longevity that I honestly, Mateo, I don't think there's any coaching staff in the youth sport that has the longevity that we have. And it's very special. It's a special room. It's a special bond in there. It's a situation where you don't need to even talk about it. It's just there. Like words can't describe it. It's a unique situation, and like I said, it's a family, and that's where it starts. But then the players too. Like I love the players we have, and each year coming back, it's we've got some great kids, and seeing the kids progress and develop and into young men outside of football. Like I've always said over the years I've coached, that the wins and losses come out in the wash. It's the development of the player and as the person, and just to see in all the years I've coached have players come up to me and still call me coach. That to me is why I coach. And then Coach Pierre and Coach Mitchell, they actually played my first couple of years when I started with the Bisons, so that's unique as well. And having Coach Doby coach me in high school, and having coached when Coach Pierre and Coach Mitchell were playing, it's all it's almost like it's a story. Like it's almost like a movie where you can't make that up. It just kind of happens, and it's all special. Like the players, the coaches, the whole part of just being here, and I love football, and just just being able to enjoy everything. And we've had success, and we haven't had success, but again, it's just a special group. That's what makes it.
So in your time of having coached with the Bisons for many years and having gone to Churchill and also played junior, who are some of the coaches that you learned from the most in your first few years working with the Bisons? Because Coach Doby, like you said, wasn't the head coach initially when you first got there in 91. So who are some of the coaches that kind of helped you to get your feet wet and mold your style before you kind of took the reins and went off and developed your own individual coaching style?
Well, I will say that going back to playing high school at Churchill, Rick Harkota was my defensive back coach, and he had tried out for the Bisons and got cut as well. I remember him telling me that. Just that he was my first coach, and gave me an opportunity to play. At that time, we had a good team at Churchill, and I was in grade 10 starting football, and I managed to get in a couple of games and just be with a great group of guys who I'm still friends with today. And just have just his work ethic and just the way he's a player's coach, and demanding, but also very positive. And he was the first one. Of course, Coach Doby, just from, like I said, him as coaching me, coaching with him, and then coaching with him with Bisons. I will say that when I first started at Scott Spurgeon, probably the most I've learned more about football from any other coach than I don't think I ever will. Like the knowledge that he had, just the terminology, and it just brought me right into a different level of play that I was like, oh wow. And then just working with Stan Pierre over the last few years, like the work and the knowledge that Stan has and what he puts into the game. It's like every day, I coach for 30 years and I still take notes and I still write stuff down that he says, because it's like, geez, you have to be willing to learn it. But those two guys are probably the most intelligent football minds that I've been around in all the years I've been there.
I've heard many things about Coach Pierre being an absolute genius when it comes to A, teaching football, and B, just his knowledge of defense. And for someone like yourself who's been coaching and affiliated with the defensive side of the football basically the entire time that you've been in the sport, I can only imagine how enriching it is to get to spend a lot of time with someone like Coach Pierre, learning defense, coaching it, teaching it to guys, learning how to do it better. Because for someone like myself, when I played football, being a kicker, like, you don't worry about offensive and defensive schemes. Just go out there and do one thing, very simplistically. But part of me wishes that there was an opportunity to learn, or even just to see what it would be like to embrace the learning environment that someone like Coach Pierre would bring when you are in defensive meetings, or even if you're getting grilled for missing an assignment. I remember asking many former Bison players, and they all say the same thing. When you start to understand the way that Coach Pierre's system works, you start using the same language when you're coaching football after your playing days. And you start to realize how much sense it makes, and how much more sense it makes after the fact. Maybe sometimes if you get it in the midst of your playing career, then it's, I've even heard some people say that, like, it's more complicated than some CFL defenses that they've been a part of. So,
well, it's not, the easiest system to learn coming right out of high school. I'll be honest. Like it is the next step to playing and coaching in the CFL. It really is. Like he tries to simplify things, but he also challenges the players, and which I think is awesome, because the level of the play of athletes today are just getting better every year, and why not challenge them? And I know that if coming out of high school or coming from a different program, it's going to take you some time to pick up on stuff, and you have to do the work off the field, in the film room, and study, and then make sure you're there for reps so you can grab it. And once you do grab it, you're going to go, oh wow, it took me a couple of years to get to know this, but then once I got it, it was like, yeah. And then you carry it on to other programs. I know, Mitch Harrison is doing that at Dakota, and DJ Lama, who just came on staff this year, has been a great addition, and what he learned when he played from Coach Pierre, when he played in the CFL. It's tough at first, but then you kind of get to realize that, oh, okay, it does make sense once you see it and be a part of it. So you have to be a part of it. You have to kind of buy into it. But once you do, and you see everybody else buying into it, it really, really is successful, and it really provides the athletes to be better athletes. And I think it takes them ready for the next level. Those who are ready to go to the next level, I think it does prepare you for that.
And for someone who has seen the system and has learned it as a coach and implements elements of it when you're teaching the DB group, or even working with someone like Coach O, there's different levels, I think, to people, like maybe not coaching hierarchies, but I guess the term I'm looking for is like the trajectory of coaching. Because for people like yourself or Coach Pierre, the idea of coaching the CFL right now is like, well, there almost wouldn't really be a point, because you've developed such a strong chemistry. Whereas with some of those younger coaches, being able to help them up their game so that they can reach even greater heights, I think, is a great thing about when you are a more seasoned veteran coach, because, like, they want to learn just as much as we want to learn, and we want to help them get to that next level. And we want to help them to have the tools to be able to teach these players without us needing to be there at all times. And I think that's what makes a strong team chemistry. And you can see it from the way the defense performed this year. The team was outstanding defensively, and the defensive backs were amongst the best in all of youth sports. And even though the team maybe didn't make it to the national championship or this national semifinal, like, the Bisons were as good as any team across youth sports. So that's what, and it shows. It shows in the way that the team played this year against expectations. So
yeah, our defense was very strong. I think I think we had in our conference, I think, one of the best defenses. I think going forward too, I think we had a good enough defense to carry us further. It just didn't work out. We came up a little short, but that leaves us, in really good shape next year, going forward. And it's like we pick up where we left off, and Coach Pierre likes to just, you're in a situation where you have to be able to play more than one position. So it's not a person in a position, it's that position and being able to find the right person to fit in there. It's very versatile, it's very flexible, it's and I think coaches that want to take to the next level come on and learn here, and and if you get the opportunity, great, go ahead. But I know that coaches that come and do coach in our coaches room, they kind of stay, or they want to come back, just because of the fun we have. We have a lot of fun in that room, and we do a lot of things together. We're very close, very tight, and hence coaching all these years together. But it's a really good group, and I think that if you're a part of it, it is a quite unique experience, and whatever I can do to help the young coaches out, it's my pleasure, and I enjoy that part of it as well.
There's many favorite things that I'm sure you have about being a coach with the university program, as you've mentioned, and even just from some of the experiences I've had, not even being a coach, just being able to be around the coaches and the camaraderie. I think that's really the thing that people love the most about football. You don't necessarily have to win all the time or lose all the time, but if you love the people you're around, it really just makes the experience that much more special and unique, because how many people get to do what you guys do as coaches? Like, very few people. It's not any small feat to be coaching at the university level in Canada, and especially to be with a group of a bunch of really good guys who all get along well and are good coaches. And on top of it, a lot of them have been together for a super, super long time, if you include how Coach Carhut's been involved with the program as a player and coming back after going to coach in another university, and how other coaches used to play for the Bisons or have been coaching at high levels in Manitoba. It's really interesting to see how that dynamic all comes together. And I think that's why it really helps to have someone like yourself on the staff, because it just brings that much more energy to the coaches room already.
Yep, and it's a family. I think it's the best way I can put it. It's a family, and you enjoy being together. You enjoy doing things together, and great laughs. And I enjoy that coaches room. I enjoy the games are very stressful, but after the games, just sit around talking about players and who played well and what we need to do to improve or get better. And that's what it's all about. And it is important, and it is I think it is a benefit to have us that we work really well together and can bounce stuff off each other. And we wouldn't be, I don't think we would be there if we weren't good coaches. So I think the family thing, Mateos, is to me is like the Bison family is special.
I must ask, because with having coached for so many years, have you ever thought about how long you've ever wanted to coach, like being like the Tom Brady of defensive back coaches, like just you keep going? Or is it something that you've stopped to think about, like, okay, I know exactly when I would probably hang him up?
It's interesting you say that, because I really honestly am getting very close. this past year, just with COVID and that, this past year, I thought this is going to be it. And then, the other young coaches kind of convinced me to come back and for another year. But, coaching at this level for 32 years is a long time, and it's a big commitment. And I'll be honest, I'm not going to be a guy that's going to, keep coaching for the sake of coaching. I don't want to be, a coach that's, not contributing or not benefiting or doesn't have what I used to have as a younger coach. If I don't have that drive, then it's time to pass on to the young guys, and I'm okay with that. I really am okay with it. I might be on the KISS World Farewell Tour, which happens every year, but this next year I'm going to really look at it. We should make a pretty good run next year with the amount of returning players we have, returning starters we have. So I'm coming back next year, but my window's definitely closing, and I'm okay with it. I'm going to be 60 this year coming up, so I want to go out on top, and I want to go out knowing that I contributed and I can still coach. But then, this year coming up, and Coach Ole's going to take a lot of the reins. He's a young great coach coming up, and between him and DJ, they're the future. And I'm okay to pass on whatever I can with them, but I'm also okay to carry the torch back to them. So I'm going to say one more year for sure, Mateus. From there, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's going to happen after that.
Well, I don't know if we're going to be having any Ric Flair retirements in the coaches' room anytime soon, where you have to announce to the whole world that you will never retire. But it's definitely a long time, like you said. 32 years coaching at that level, let alone coaching football at other levels, is a long time. Like, I'm not even 32 years old myself, so it's it like you said, it takes a lot of time. You have to commit yourself because, like Coach Mitchell or even Coach Pierre before he was a full-time staff member, like, you're not getting paid to do this. You're doing this because you love it. And you also have to work another full-time job and provide for yourself and your family. And yeah, it's not like the US where you can live off the money. You're even, I know Coach Barber asking him about working with the Bisons and the Bombers and how exhausting that is for how many months of the year. And then you flip the switch to the total opposite, but then you got to flip it back just to do it all over again. And I know that I'm sure that you've probably been in close contact with coaches who have been a part of CFL teams, and the labor of love for them probably might go even farther, because even though they are being paid, they're demanded of way more, and it's difficult. Like, being a coach is literally a full-time job, whether you're paid to do it or not.
Yep.
And I think that's what's one of the toughest things about it to do for so long.
Yeah, I think Coach Dobie figured it out that all the years that I've been a volunteer coach, that I think I've worked 12 years or so with the university, over 12 years with the University of Manitoba at all that time. But yeah, it's a big commitment. It's a short season. Football's a short season, but it's a long season because there's stuff every day that goes on, and you go work all day. And like, I go to the gym in the morning, then I work out, then I go to football. So sometimes I'm not getting home till 9:30, quarter to 10, and then I gotta try and relax and eat, and then go to get some sleep, and then get up and do it all over again the next day. So it is a lot, but it's very rewarding, and seeing the players come back and still call you coach, and having the love of the game and the coaching staff, and that's what makes it all worthwhile.
So, Coach Urbanovich, we are getting towards the end of our time on today's episode, so I want to ask you some wrap-up questions to have a little bit more fun before we part for today.
Okay.
Who's the funniest coach on the Bison staff currently?
The funniest coach?
Yeah, the one who is the best at entertaining everybody, or that you find personally the funniest.
Oh boy, that's a really good question. who's the funniest, the most entertaining? Well, I'll be honest, I got to go with Coach Bear. I really do. Just because I've known him the longest, and we've had a little bit of a turnover in staff with some of the young guys, and coming into that room, if you're a young guy, you got to kind of watch what you say, because it's an old boys club sometimes, and so I got to say, I think Coach Pierre is probably the funniest coach right now on staff, other than myself.
Of course, I was gonna say, yeah, of course, the asterisk has to be other than yourself. I mean, I can't.
Other than myself. Yeah.
I can't really disagree with you, because like I just feel entertained, like win or lose, I just feel entertained when Coach Pierre comes in and says something funny, or just has a quick joke, or it's just, I don't know, he's just a really, really funny guy, like on top of how super smart he is. And like when you don't want to screw up, like especially when I'm doing my job, like I don't want to screw up or make mistakes, because I know that he's gonna let me hear it. But he definitely has a lot of funny things to say after games, and I think that's probably one of my favorite environments to be in, is after a win, and when the Domino's Pizza comes in the room, like that's just like those vibes hit different than I think anything I've experienced. And if you've been doing that for how many years, like you're very, very lucky man.
Yep, absolutely.
What is the most memorable game that you've ever coached in?
Well, that's easy. That's easy. The 2007 Vanier Cup. The season we had that year, the players we had, the run we had, and then culminating with winning the Vanier Cup. Nobody could ever take that away from us, and to me, that was the most special moments in my coaching career by far.
Who is the best player that you've coached at defensive back in your entire career?
Oh boy, another good question. There have been some really, really good players.
You could even give me a top three, just so you don't single out one person. But
I could say that like in terms just of a player, or as a person, as a captain, I don't know. I'd have to go with Darnell Edwards is up there. Naturally, of the ability he had. He was a two-time All-Canadian. Went to CFL. He'd be in the top three. Jason Jakovic, who played my first 2 years way back 30 years ago. Also, I just remember the skill level he had and the compete level he had, and he went to the CFL. Those two are up there. Many more. Just as a pure leader, Bobby Reese was probably the best leader I've ever had, ever coached. But there's so many great players, like so many. I've been fortunate that I've coached 20 players that have either been drafted or as a free agent gone to CFL, and still having all those memories of those guys. It's tough to put it down, but I would, off the top of my head, I'd have to go with those guys.
Looking back on your career now, if you had an opportunity to reflect, do you think that coaching university is the most enjoyable possible experience you could have had of a coaching? Or do you think that there would have been a great time to be had if you had the opportunity to coach in the CFL? And if you could go back in time, would you have taken opportunities in the CFL if they came up?
No. I did have an opportunity back. 04 and 05, the Bombers were going through a little bit of a changeover, and I was a guest coach there and had an opportunity to be employed there, and I turned it down because I didn't want to leave Coach Dobie out on a limb, and I have no regrets coaching there. And if a situation had occurred where an opportunity that was too good to pass up, would I have taken it? Maybe, I don't know. I've always maintained a good full-time job on top of football, so I know that the CFL wouldn't have been. They wouldn't have been able to afford me, to be honest with you. But I don't think so, Mateus. I think that I have no regrets coaching Bison football and being there for all those years. I wouldn't have changed anything on it. I'm pretty blessed to have the opportunity and the experiences that I've had there.
And my final question for you is this. What is the wisest piece of advice or wisest words that a coach has told you that you have carried with you through your coaching career?
That's another good question. Well, there's been a few. There's a couple of things that kind of stand out. Just especially as a defensive back, is moving on to the next play. Telling players that you're only as good as the last play you made, and then you got to make the next one. And someone once, and I know I've said, like, all the years, like, I've picked up stuff that I use from other coaches, and and why not? If it works, I use it. And being, I guess, what separates good players from great players is what you do the next play, and then what separates great players from greater players is how far away from the football you are in every play. So those two, I guess, points are something that I relate to and I use when I coach. And then there's other little things that that I throw out there. Just finishing and just and having fun. And telling the players I love them, and I do, and I totally mean it, and I wouldn't do it if I didn't have the love for the players.
And those are super important things to remember, and especially as a defensive back, I always hear you guys talking about fast feet and making sure that your hands are relaxed and all the different technique points, but it carries through so many different positions, and especially defensive back. Like sometimes it seems like you're on an island. Like, if you make a great play, then either, well, you should have made that play, or what a great play. But if you get a ball caught on you or something like that, then people are always quick to point fingers and be like, well, it's your fault. But they don't think about, well, we're playing zone, or we're playing man, or this is the scheme, or this is his assignment. So it's really just a tough position to play. And always remembering that you can pass those pieces of advice onto your players is just super important for them to be able to succeed on the field and not let themselves get bogged down if they make a mistake.
And I've always approached it that on every rep in practice or on film, is that on every rep there's something you can coach. And for me, trying to be as positive as I can, constructive, but end on always on a positive. Like constructive on a play that this your eyes were not good here, your feet weren't good here, but this is what you did well. Because there's different levels of play for each player, right? They're not all the same, and I think trying to find that inner confidence and to find something they did well and let them know that you see it and that was a great effort. So that's it. Finding some things that players do that, and celebrating it and let them know that was a good play, even though it's different from somebody else making the play, right? So.
Well, that's a great thing to always remember as a defensive back coach and as a defensive back. And with that, Coach Urbanovich, I want to thank you for having been on today's episode. It was a great pleasure to sit down and finally get to chat with you. I know that we've crossed paths many times with having been in the coach's room, but I've never had the chance to actually sit down and really dive into all that you've done in your coaching career. And that's one of my favorite things to do, is to ask 10,000 questions to each coach, especially those that have been around the program for a long time. And it's really just a great enjoyment for me to get to know more about your coaching journey. And if it's one more year that you get, then I hope that the Bisons can run it back and win it all once more, just so you go out on top and don't have any more fantasy football deals that lure you back into one more year of coaching.
Well, I appreciate your kind words, Mateus, and I appreciate the opportunity to talk with you. And I'm very flattered that we had the conversation, and I'm very blessed, and I thank you as well.
First and goal from the one. Is this it? Stegall! Touchdown! Matt Stegall! Touchdown Regal! 138, and he's the all-time Canadian Football League touchdown king!
Thanks for listening to today's episode of Huddle Up with Matias Bueno. Check out our social media pages for more at huddleup_MB. For full audio, head over to Spotify and Apple Podcasts. For full video, head over to YouTube at Huddle Up with Matias Bueno. Tune in next week for another great episode. See you next time.